第二单元，文化教育、
Culture and Education.
课文口译、英汉口译、口译课文。
The frame around cultural exchanges has shifted. Where once they were the remit of governments, cultural exchanges now rely more on public-private partnerships. Where they typically used to require funds from rich Western nations, more programs now can come about through co-financing. Most vitally, what had been, in the main, a unilateral, hierarchical, asymmetrical pattern of exchange, with funding and influence flowing from the West to the rest, is giving way to more balanced and reciprocal interactions. The playing field, in short, has been leveled. Understanding each other has become a cultural, political, and economic imperative. Moreover, when it comes to museums, the contacts are being fueled by two especially important, overarching trends. On the one hand, China's economic surge and political opening have magnified public interest, on both sides of the Pacific, for contact with each other's arts and culture. The United States Department of Commerce estimates that visits by Chinese tourists to the United States grew 53% this year. This growth is expected to continue, with cultural and educational tourism as a major driver. Between 2012 and 2016, arrivals from China are predicted to increase 276%, making China the most important contributor to incoming tourism. Chinese tourists already account for the fastest-growing segment of the Metropolitan Museum of Art's global audience, approaching the volume of visits by tourists from France. Americans, too, are taking a deeper interest in China, a trend evidenced by expanding overseas travel and interest in learning Mandarin Chinese, the only language bucking the trend of declining second-language education in U.S. schools. Escalating audience interest provides a clear mandate for museums to meet the needs of their visitors, both the general public and art professionals, with a broader menu of exhibitions, educational programs, and scholarly exchanges that in unison provide broader access and exposure to each nation's culture. The forum attendees in Beijing recalled that how museum exhibitions have already played a pivotal role in shaping perceptions about the United States in China and vice versa. The 1998 touring exhibition China 5,000 Years, the presentation of some 500 cultural relics organized by the Solomon R. Guggenheim Museum and the National Administration for Cultural Heritage of the People's Republic of China, opened the door to enhanced curiosity about Chinese culture in America. The same year saw the opening of Inside Out, New Chinese Art, an exhibition organized by Asia Society in collaboration with the San Francisco Museum of Modern Art, which presented U.S. audiences with the first major survey of the dynamic new art emerging from China at the time. Prior to these projects, Robert Rauschenberg's visit to China and the exhibition of his work at the China National Art Gallery, the first officially sanctioned exhibition in China by an American artist in a half-century, is widely considered a turning point, having left a deep impression on a then-nascent group of Chinese contemporary artists. American art exhibitions continue to be followed closely in Chinese artistic and intellectual circles. The Whitney Biennial is very much noticed in China, observed one Chinese museum director during the forum. After the Venice Biennale and Documenta, the Whitney Biennial is the third, he noted, adding, "We hope there could be more exposure and response. Maybe it could come to China." If public demand fuels interest in exchanges, the other impetus behind museum interactions is China's extraordinary museum construction boom. Approximately 1,800 Chinese museums are now open and free to the public. The largest museums attract enormous audiences. 13 million for the Capital Museum in Beijing and almost 8 million for the National Museum of China, as compared with the Metropolitan Museum of Art's 6.3 million. The recent proliferation of museums is a manifestation of the Communist Party's commitment to soft power. China intends to become a leading producer of culture on the global stage. Like other ascendant nations, it is pursuing an aggressive growth policy in its cultural sector and is building its arts infrastructure at a rapid pace. The investments are intended not only for domestic consumption, but also to burnish the country's reputation overseas.
口译课文：海纳百川，有容乃大。人类创造的各种文明都是劳动和智慧的结晶，每一种文明都是独特的。在文明问题上，生搬硬套、削足适履不仅是不可能的，而且是十分有害的。一切文明成果都值得尊重，一切文明成果都要珍惜。历史告诉我们，只有交流互鉴，一种文明才能充满生命力。只要秉持包容精神，就不存在什么文明冲突，就可以实现文明和谐。这就是中国人常说的萝卜青菜各有所爱。中华文明经历了5000多年的历史变迁，但始终一脉相承，积淀着中华民族最深层的精神追求，代表着中华民族独特的精神标识，为中华民族生生不息、发展壮大提供了丰厚滋养。中华文明是在中国大地上产生的文明，也是同其他文明不断交流互鉴而形成的文明。公元前100多年，中国就开始开辟通往西域的丝绸之路。汉代张骞于公元前138年和119年2次出使西域，向西域传播了中华文化，也引进了葡萄、木须、石榴、胡麻、芝麻等西域文化成果。西汉时期，中国的船队就到达了印度和斯里兰卡，用中国的丝绸换取了琉璃、珍珠等物品。中国唐代是中国历史上对外交流的活跃期。据史料记载，唐代中国通史交好的国家多达70多个。那时候的首都长安里，来自各国的使臣、商人、留学生云集成群。这个大交流促进了中华文化远播世界，也促进了各国文化和物产传入中国。15世纪初，中国明代著名航海家郑和7次远洋航海，到了东南亚很多国家，一直抵达非洲东海岸的肯尼亚，留下了中国同沿途各国人民友好交往的佳话。明末清初，中国人积极学习现代科技知识，欧洲的天文学、医学、数学、几何学、地理学知识纷纷传入中国，开阔了中国人的知识视野。之后，中外文明交流互鉴更是频繁展开，这其中有冲突、矛盾、疑惑、拒绝，但更多是学习、消化、融合、创新。口译实践，英汉口译。
Both the U.S. and China showed signs of fatigue and frustration as we continued to engage in tense, high-wire diplomacy, with neither party willing to budge. The stakes could not have been higher, and it was at the apex of this tension that we left the negotiating table to attend a meeting of Chinese and American students involved in an educational exchange. As they were introduced, the Chinese students speaking English and the American students speaking Mandarin, one of my Chinese counterparts said, "This is very inspirational. It reminds me of what is possible." The students' demonstration gave both sides of the table a moment of respite and reflection, leaving us with a renewed sense of optimism that carried the negotiations through to their ultimately successful resolution. These students had also helped remind us of what we were working to protect and build. They were part of the 100,000 Strong initiative, launched by President Barack Obama and Secretary of State Hillary Clinton to increase the number of Americans studying in China. There was a profound recognition on the U.S. side that, while the number of Chinese students coming to study in the United States was growing exponentially, the number of Americans going to China was not. The result is more young Chinese men and women are knowledgeable about American politics and popular culture than their American counterparts about how the Chinese live, do business, and govern their society. This disparity is worrisome and needs balancing. Washington is full of soldiers, diplomats, and intelligence specialists well versed in ethnic rivalry in Iraq, the tribal differences in Afghanistan, post-conflict reconstruction strategies, and U.S. Special Forces and drone tactics. Little effort has been made, however, to develop a similar cadre of Asia experts, and it is surprising how many senior government officials make their first visits to the region only once they have reached high-level positions and are nearing the end of their careers. Make no mistake, this lack of human capital with first-hand knowledge of China is a clear and genuine weakness in both the U.S. foreign policy and business establishments. The most important bilateral relationship in the world exists between the United States and China. As such, it is imperative that we should not fall further behind in knowledge and practical experience of our Chinese counterparts. To that end, we developed a plan under President Obama and Secretary Clinton's leadership to ensure that over the next 4 years, we would raise the total number of American students in China to 100,000. The pivotal East must not be confined only to security and economic issues, but we must also seek to deepen cultural and people-to-people ties. Developing knowledge and mutual understanding between our youth is critical to building a robust and enduring U.S.-China relationship. While tension and disagreement persist between the United States and China, the broad, overwhelming support the 100,000 Strong initiative received in both countries has been inspiring. It has driven the formation of an independent, non-profit organization with backing from both sides of the Pacific. The Chinese government signaled its approval with the generous offering of 20,000 scholarships for Americans to study in China, while the Ford Foundation and Florence Fung Family Foundation helped provide the seed money to get the initiative off the ground in the United States. The resulting 100,000 Strong Foundation will play a significant role in supporting Sino-American dialogue in the 21st century. The intimate bonds created with study abroad programs will bring our two countries together through trust and understanding, aspects that have been decidedly missing in our relationship to date. Of course, we will still have our differences, And, as with any partnership, we will face obstacles. But we must be able to talk to one another, understand one another, and work together. The need for such exchange is urgent and ever-growing.
汉英口译40年来，中国与欧盟人文交流日趋频繁，合作领域不断拓宽，交流渠道日趋丰富，呈现出机制化、多层次、全方位的发展态势。去年，双方人员往来接近600万人次，首次超过中美人员往来规模。平均每天约有 1.6 万人，70多个航班穿梭于中欧两地之间。中国和欧盟国家还缔结了560对友好省市关系，蓬勃发展的人文交流惠及双方民众的衣食住行，加深了对彼此灿烂文明和历史积淀的认同。特别是中欧高级别人文交流对话机制建立以来，双方交流合作收获了累累硕果。教育领域，中欧学生学者交流规模持续扩大，互派留学人员近33万，语言教学合作成果丰硕。中国高校实现欧盟24种官方语言全覆盖，孔子学院和孔子课堂在欧洲遍地开花结果。高校合作办学项目数量多且质量高，人才联合培养取得新成果。科技领域，建立中欧创新合作对话机制，中欧遥感科技合作龙计划项目实施11年，被誉为双方科技合作的典范。中欧伽利略合作开启了卫星导航领域交流新渠道，双方在航空、核能、食品、农业和生物技术等领域的合作也不断深入。文化领域，举办中欧文化对话年，与法国、德国、西班牙、意大利、希腊等开展文化年交流活动，互设文化中心初见成效，文化产业、文化遗产和当代艺术成为中欧文化交流与合作的重点领域。媒体领域，合办音乐晚会、合拍影视节目、互办影视节等活动有序展开。中法友谊之夜音乐晚会全球播放，合拍电影《狼图腾》受到观众喜爱，动画片《熊猫和小鼹鼠》中西合璧，寓教于乐。青年领域，中欧青年政策对话深入开展，中欧青年交流活动成为双方建交以来最大规模的人文交流活动。此外，妇女交流正式纳入中欧高级别人文交流对话机制，这都增进了中欧人民之间的了解和友谊，为中欧关系奠定了良好的民意基础。